Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to not only check your pocket change, but check all denominations of your notes. Um, every denomination of notes has fancy serial numbers. Every denomination has stars. Every denomination has errors. You can find anything that I find in the singles in every denomination. Now, I've said in the past what I do with my singles, and once I've sorted my singles, I take them back to the bank, and I usually drop off 2 straps at a branch to get 2 $100 bills, and I'll repeat that for a couple different branches to get my money back, and then take that 1,000 back to my original bank and get another 1,000 singles. Which means every single time I go through these, I also get 10 $100 bills back. And well, that allows me to search $100 bills. Essentially, I don't need $10,000 to search $100 bills. I simply watch the notes I get back in change. And well, on occasion, you find good stuff. So don't forget to check your larger denominations. All right, I've got my 1,000 in singles. Let's get these out of the way and take a look at what I found this week. Lots of good stuff. Starting off with a Where's George, very familiar stamp to me. I probably can't log it, but I will give it a try anyway. Found another Where's George, another one that I see quite frequently, so I will still try to log that one. This note I pulled because of the amount of damage. If you look over here, this one's lit really well because of the lighting, but you can hardly make out the one. You can see part of the seal is gone. Some of the parts of the numbers here are just about gone. There are people that will save this and say that it's an error. This is not an error. This is damage. So, yes, you are going to find notes like this in circulation. If this note was crisp, if this note was pristine, and it looked like that, that would be an under-inking error. But in this condition, there's no way to prove if that's an under-inking error. So we just have to assume it's damage at this point. All right, note with some artwork. Somebody put some hearts on this note, so I figured I'd save that and put that with my artwork collection. Someone else decided they wanted to color in the one and redesign the one up top, so I pulled that one as well. Then we start to get to some of my other finds. I don't normally pull this because my eyes don't see this readily. I almost have to be looking for this. What is it? This is a mixed ladder, and it's a mixed ladder the way that, to me, a mixed ladder should be. What do I mean by that? Well, you've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. You have all the digits 1 through 8. If they were in order, that would be a ladder, and this would be worth quite a bit of money because out of every 96 million notes, there are only 3 ladders, 4 ladders, 3 ladders. And then you've got a couple downward ladders as well. I think there's 4 upward ladders and 3 downward ladders, just because you don't get 9, 8 to start your serial number. But yeah, these are ladders in general are not easy to find. Mixed ladders, they're a little easier to find. My eyes just don't spot it. So I saw this one. I figured I'd pull it since it was in okay shape. All right, found a birthday note. This is a 2017, but this would be 1964, the 25th of October. Found an alternator. This one, the 1 alternates, and it's too bad that that 5 wasn't a 0, because that would have been a really, really cool true binary repeater. But no, instead we just got an alternator, 01, 51, 01, 01. Trinaries, 1s, 4s, and 7s on a 2006. That's really crisp. 0s, 5s, and 7s on this one. 1s, 5s, and 9s. 0s, 5s, and 8s. 4s, 5s, and 7s. This is 2s, 3s, and 6s. 3s, 5s, and 7s. 3 sevens and 9s, and what is that, 6 sevens on that note? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 sevens. And we've got quads. Quad 5s on a rough note, quad 9s on this one. And my stars, 2017 A star note, 2017 star note in much better shape. 2017 starting with a couple zeros, that's a fairly low number. I mean, we're talking 265,000 there, so that's a fairly low number. Maybe that'll be a good one. Here's a low one. 2017, too bad it's not in the greatest of shape, starting with 3 zeros, so that means this is only 93,234. A couple zeros on this one as well. 2017. Here's a 2013 B, so potential for a double print. I think the number is too high on this one, though. This one might be there, though. 2013 B, too bad they wrote on it. And another 2013 B as well. So you do find a couple of those. I found a lot of stars this week. 2013, another 2013, another 2013 K, and then we get older notes. This is 2009 B for a star note, and a 2009 D. This one's Cleveland, Ohio. Still stars. Then we get to the actual old notes. Here's a 2003. Not in the greatest of shape, but it's an I note from Minneapolis. So I want to check my book and see how this one compares to the one that I have. 2001, those I save. 1999, pretty rough shape. 1999, much better condition. 1995, not a web note. 1995, also not a web note, but in better shape. 1988A, also not a web note, kind of dirty, but okay condition. Another 1988, not a web note possible, because this is 1 year before web notes. 1977, that's an oldie. And the oldest note I found, 1969D. So yeah, in this group, I found notes from every single decade. The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. So that was cool. Always great finding all the decades being represented. And like I said, a mess of star notes, a whole bunch of those. So what did I bring out this week? Well, I started out talking about some of the finds that I have just from going through and converting my singles into 100s. This happens to be one of the 100s that I got, and you'll notice that it's a star note. Once your bank tellers are familiar with you and know that you collect stuff, if they're not busy, and I stress that, if there's a line of people behind you, don't bother. But there is 1 or 2 banks that I go to that are just in locations that are never very busy. And when I come in, they're almost more curious to see what I'm going to have with me or what I'm going to talk about that particular day than anything else. Those are the places you want to do this. I turned in 2 of my straps, and they gave me 2 100s, and they watched me look at the hundreds. They just flat out said, "What are you looking for?" And I pulled out a star note, and that I happened to have a single that was a star note, and I said, "I'm just looking for a little star like that." And the teller immediately grabbed a stack of hundreds and went through them all and said, "Oh, here's one." So I took that $100 bill instead of the one that they gave me. And that was this particular note. Now, before I get into the star note itself and the significance of this particular note, some people have asked me about the serial numbers, okay? Because all of the large face notes have unusual serial numbers. They will have 2 letters here, and then they'll have a letter at the end. This one, of course, has a star. And they wanted to know what the designations are. And well, if this star was a letter, this letter designates, just like it does on any other note, the total number of times that they've gone through the entire set of numbers. So the number at the end, like I said, that just helps you tally all this. It starts with an A. Once they go through all the numbers, then they change it to B, and so on down the line. Now, as for the other 2 letters, Well, you can see this note says B2, which designates this as a New York note. B is New York, 2, B is the second letter in the alphabet, so B2 is designating New York as the branch. Therefore, this B matches this B as far as the serial number goes. But what's the M? That's the thing that everybody's always asking. What's that first letter represent? The first letter on all of the large face notes, all of the modern notes, and even the monochrome notes, that first letter represents the series, okay? The very first series, the very first monochrome series, was it 1996? I think it was, would have the A. And then the 2000 would have the B, and the 2004 would have the C, and so on down the line. So this particular one I can see is 2013, so that's an M, and that means that the 2017 would have an N, and the 2017A does not have an O because they don't use O. They don't want to confuse the letters and the numbers. So that means the 2017A would have a P. And that is what those particular letters designate. So you've got the actual series, then you have the Federal Reserve, and then whatever letter here, that's the number of times that they have gone through all of the numbers. But anyway, let's get back to this star. I looked this particular star up, and like I said, I was able to get this because the teller was curious as to what I was looking at for the notes. And let's see if I can get this on here. There we go. This particular note, there's the serial number that I typed in, has a run size of, the total number printed were 14.8 million, but the run size on this particular one was only 384,000. So you can see the total print, not rare, but for this particular run size, yeah, that was quite rare. So that's what I got just because the teller was wondering what I was looking at when it came to me inspecting the notes right there at the window. So that's what I've got for you guys this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week.